Hello, we're going to show you the bargain budget valve cover race car, how you can put this together. Simple, low cost. It's going to end up looking
Don't get too high.
like this.
Show me the underside.
Show you the underside. Very simple. Ready rod is the axle. Have 5/16 nuts and washers on there. Have the nut on the outside with the nylon bushing in it, so it doesn't come off or whatever. So we're going to show you how this is done. I told you bargain budget. This is a flap off of a cardboard box. This you can see I cut with a razor knife, not so straight. This side is the factory edge, that is straight. And we pre-did this. We came in an inch, drew a line, and then we also did that down here. An inch down, inch down. You got to make sure that this edge, after you cut that flap off, you know this is straight, but you have to make sure that this is straight also. And it is. You can see we put the score on there. That's straight. So we could measure from there. So we're an inch down, drew a line, inch in, drew a line, and then you can set your valve cover on those lines, on those straight lines, and that should keep you straight and square. Now you can see I also have other lines on there, and those other lines, this is off of a 350 5.3. So we came in for the front. We came in 2 1/4 inches from our line here. 2 1/4 in. This is for the front axle.
And we got 3 3/4 inch ground clearance.
Yeah, so this is just an example of what the track would look like when it goes into the transition. And if you have the wheels back further, you'll notice that you run into danger of the very front of the valve cover car rubbing when you go into that transition. So we recommend, if you have these 64 millimeter wheels, you come back in 2 1/4 inches from the edge. The rear, you want as close to the rear as you can get. So we marked it in 1 1/2 inches from the back. So the back edge, 1 1/2 inches. We did it on this corrugate, so you can eyeball that. So,
And that kind of depends on the valve cover. If you have a different shaped valve cover, you might have to go in farther on the back, but your wheels would just be ahead a little bit farther is all.
yes. And once again, well, I guess not once again, I didn't tell you this. Your wheel should never extend past the back edge of it or the front edge of it. So that's very important to remember. So then all you do is take your square, and then you just have to set it right on the flange of the valve cover, lay it in against there, and then just eyeball it down on the line that's on the corrugate there, and scratch it in the side, and do the same over here off this line, scratch it in there, and the same back here. My lines are 1 1/2 inches in. You just do the same thing, lay your square on top of the flange, and then just eyeball it and scratch a line in your 4 corners.
And 5/16 of.
Yes, then you have a ruler right there, Larry, right there. Okay. So then if you have a tape measure or a ruler or whatever, you can see this side is broke down in 1/8. This is in 1/16. So 16/16 is an inch if you're not into the fractions. So we're going to go 5 of those 1/16. So we need to be up 5/16 off the flange so the nut doesn't rub on this flange when you go to put your axles in. So then you'd go in and mark the little mark that's just past the quarter for your center at 5/16. Mark it that way horizontally, and then you do that on all 4 corners. We're doing this so it doesn't. We don't bore you to death. Then you just go in on those marks, and we just have a simple ball peen hammer and a nail, and just pop that so it gives you a nice something for your drill to follow in. 1/8 inch drill bit is what we start off with. Drill that hole, and that goes through very easy, nothing to it. Then you throw your 5/16 drill bit in, and then you go in that 1/8 inch hole and drill it out. Now, the next process is, if you look at the valve cover here, hopefully you can see this on there. You can see that this side of the valve cover is, that's straight up and down, it's perpendicular. But this side is angled, okay? So what we'll do, we'll show you that you put in, just grab a bolt, a 5/16 bolt, and put this in. And this is interesting. It's probably something you won't think of, but being on this angled side here, that's going to pop. It's going to pop this way up. So if we take this, and you can see it. See how that's going up in the air.
You can see that on the camera.
You see how that bolt pops up in the air? Okay, so then all you have to do is just tighten it down like Larry did. He's got this bolt tight in there with a washer on behind it. And we're going to set it on the edge of the table and bend this.
Can you see it?
Throw a little bend into it to straighten it out. Not there. Back there. So anyway, you just take it,
You have to put your palm on it.
push it down. So you're trying to straighten this bolt out, and it's tough to do if we're not on the edge of the table, so we'll get out of the camera view here for a second. Nope, it's still up. There, now that's pretty darn good. So now,
You have to use a little force.
yeah, use a little force on it. You don't need to use a hammer, just put your palm on it, and you'll see now, if you saw before, it was shooting up in the air out here. Now it's perpendicular to the table, so that's going to run straight for us. And you do that process on all 4 of them. Make sure you're straight out, because even on the straight side of the valve cover, it might pop up or down. And just sight it straight. Is all you have to do. So you do that on all 4 corners after you've drilled them out, and then that gives you things straight and square. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to show you the wheels. By the way, I got the valve covers here. These 5.7 valve covers. Got those for $5 a piece. Big deal. No hardly any cost there. These wheels, we'll show you. We got these on Amazon. And this happens to be an 8-pack of them. And there's 64, well, these show, 64 millimeter is what you generally run. And you can't be over a 3-inch tire. 5-inch? 5-inch wheel. In our rules, you can't have over a 5-inch diameter wheel. And to be honest with you, we've tested them and looked at them and everything, and actually this 64 millimeter, it runs with anything. It's a good, reliable wheel, and it's certainly perfect for a beginner because it's very cost effective and it'll get you there. This is the way the wheel's going to come to you with this plastic insert in it. You just pop the plastic inserts out. It's right there. Then it's going to end up looking like this after you pop the plastic inserts out. He's gonna just pop these bearings out of there. Very easy. You don't need a press or anything. Now, Larry's gonna show you how to take that dust cover off of there. He just takes that pick and kind of bends that dust cover and pops it out of there on both sides. And you're gonna say, oh, the bearings are exposed. That's exactly right. That's what you want. We're gonna take you into a few tips here that'll help you out. Now, what you'll want to do is take your 4 bearings just exactly like that. Take the dust covers off. Bearings exposed. Use some brake cleaner. take the grease out of them. You don't want the grease. You want these bearings dry. They will run much faster dry. Just thread those on, and he's going to show you.
This is a good way. You want to try and break them in a little bit. So if you put them on a rod and you spin them, if you got access to air, you can spin them with air and get them broke in a little bit. Really helps. They'll run faster down the track.
Yep. So once again, you take the dust covers off of them, hit them with brake cleaning fluid, which you get in an aerosol can, and it'll take the grease out of there, and it'll also evaporate just about immediately. You won't want to do that on the wife's living room carpet. You want to do that somewhere else, but you'll get these bearings dry, put it on your ready rod like that. That's 5/16 ready rod, and of course 5/16 bolts, washers, and you put it on there and spin it like what Larry did. And like he said, if you have an air hose and you can run it, because there's little fins in these wheels there, you can get it tilted just right where it'll spin on there, and let them whiz for a while so it breaks those bearings in dry like that.